Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat Channel. My name is Tim Hayden, and I'll be your host. We have a super phenomenal show for you today. Our guest is the phenomenal Fiona Hutchison, which you've heard me mention many times on this show. She was starred in many TV shows, films, theater, like American Gothic, Rage, The Bay, Law and Order, and many more. She's probably best known for her role as Gabrielle Medina on One Life to Live and as Jenna Bradshaw Cooper on Guiding Light. Please welcome Fiona to the show. Hello, Fiona. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Tim. How are you? So nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Now, I have to give you a forewarning. I am your biggest fan. This is such an honor for me to have you as my guest. You were my teenage crush. If I was a teenager, you still would be my teenage crush.
Oh.
You and Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, listen, I have a crush on her too, so you're not alone. That's
so
you.
You're married to John Viscardi.
I am. Yes, 28 years. I think it's 28 years now. I'm losing track.
Are you happily married?
We are. Yeah, we get along very well. It's the oddest thing, you know. We work together and we live together. I don't know.
You're sure though, right?
Oh.
Well, I think I have a picture of you and him together. I'll share with.
Okay.
Oh, where did that come from? Sorry.
Well, look at that.
There it is. I don't know where that other picture came from. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. So, yes, I guess I will start where I usually start. Let's see. You were born in Miami, but were raised in Jamaica, West Indies. What was that like?
British parents. And my father had got a position in Kingston, Jamaica, to be a pathologist there. They were coming from England, and I was born early. We came by boat, and I popped out early in Miami, fortunate for me, because I had dual nationality, which at that time I wouldn't have known how important that would be. And then the first 11 years in Jamaica, yes, going to school, and Dad was a doctor there. And then we came to South Carolina after that because my dad got a position to be head of South Carolina as the pathologist there.
Wow. Yeah, I think you were, my sister lives near where you were. She's right outside of Charleston, in between where you were.
Columbia's about 2 hours away inland from Charleston.
Right. She's right there close.
Yeah.
So did you start out dancing, correct?
I did. I was a little ballerina, and I teach dance now still, but it's much more of a stretch and tone. It's more developed to keep your core strong, and stretching I believe in a great deal. I believe that a lot of our aches and discomfort come from the fact that we don't stretch things out enough. So foot pain, back pain, neck pain, all these things can be greatly helped if you sort of commit yourself to stretching carefully.
Right. Yeah. Right. You can't just jump in and start.
No, you cannot. No, you've got to take it slow if it's not something you're used to doing. But if you start anything and you keep it on a regular basis, we all learned how to read. Some of us learned earlier than others, but once you get to a point where you can read, it's not so difficult. So it's the same thing with stretching.
Right.
Once you start and you keep it going, it's not so difficult.
See, when I was younger, I'd go to the gym, I would just jump right in, but then I got a little bit older and I was taught that's why usually I would strain an ankle or a muscle, or because I wasn't doing what you were saying.
It is one of those things where, and the degree of stretching, of course, is different for everyone, naturally. If you've had training as a dancer, you're probably going to stretch further and longer than those who haven't had training as a dancer, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Right.
It's so good for you. It's all about getting the blood to rise to the surface. So something else that's also very good is massage. But if you can't afford to go and have a massage, or you're not able to get to somebody with a massage, then do it for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Just the
Yes.
act of getting the blood to come to the surface.
Well, even now you can find those little massaging guns for under $10.
Yes.
That would help
Yes.
as well, I would assume.
I'm a
After-
big supporter of things like that. Self-help. There's just nothing like it, really. You know, I don't like going to doctors. I don't think anybody does. I've had my fair share, as I know you have. So yes. And it's best to stay as far away from doctors as possible.
For sure.
What you can do for yourself. And when you've got to go, you've got to go.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So you went from there to modeling and acting. Do you remember what your first job was?
Yes, I do. I was in New York City, and I was with Ford Modeling Agency, and Eileen Ford sent me on a commercial audition. I remember this was down in Times Square, 1515 Broadway. And I went in. I had very, very, very long hair all the way down to my back, the way I did when I played Gabrielle the first time round. And I was told to stand in front of the camera and swoosh my hair about and turn around. And that was it. I'm like, I thought, well, that's pretty easy. Oh, all right. And then I was told I booked the job, and it was filming in Germany. So I thought, oh, okay. So they, said I'd fly to Germany. So, oh, that's great. I'll be in Germany for a week, swishing my hair around. And when I got there, it was for a German shampoo called Shamp 2. And I think it was I know it was a buyout, which meant I came home with a check, and they ran it for 2 years or something. But what happened is, the first day of getting on the set, I was handed a script in German. And I said,
no.
I don't speak German. God, I'm so sorry, you've made a mistake. And they said, no, you're what we want. Now we're going to bring in the coach to help you pronounce the words correctly. Oh my God. So there I was in a fake, well, it was a real shower, but they're filming. I'm actually taking a shower, but I've got a bodysuit on or something, but it looks like I have nothing on. And I've got the shampoo, and I'm doing all this, and I'm trying to say the words, and it's basically one word or one line at a time. I must have sounded so awful to the local German population, the way I was butchering the words. But do you remember in the 1980s where there would be commercials here in America that had all sorts of commercial model actor types speaking English, and you couldn't understand them? Well, I was the opposite version. You didn't understand me, but there I was. And I came back on the plane with a check for $10,000, which I handed Eileen Ford. I thought, well, that's an interesting way to make a living, I have to say.
Really? It sounds like making this country boy learn French or something like that, because I would butcher it.
I mean, I'm sure I did. And it ran for 2 years, and that was the beginning. And then I did, Hanes pantyhose, and then I did Maybelline eyebrows or eyelashes or my nails, all little bits of my body you would never know it was me. So, and then I did miniature bridesmaids, because I'm only 5'3" or whatever it is. I'm not one of those tall, broad, runway models, but there are petite brides in the world, and I represented them. So, for Bride magazine and things like that.
That sounds great. I mean, modeling sounds great. It really does. I mean, you get to see a lot of things.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And then I did books on tape, romance novels. And then I did the staging for the front cover. It would be a Southern belle in this fabulous off-the-shoulder dress with a dashing suitor, and the whole set would be staged for the photo for the front of the romance novels. So those are all my little beginning jobs.
You answered a question that I had later on towards the end of the show, but I was going to ask you if you did audiobooks, because your accent is so phenomenal. I could literally listen to your voice all day. Really good. I mean, it's just,
you are very
it's
kind.
so calming. It's calming.
That's good to know.
It is.
I'm going to talk to my 2 sons about that.
Your voice is very,
So
to me,
I'm
it's very
told I have a
calming.
calming voice, so therefore.
Now, I'm sure that and from your children's point of view, you could probably not have such a calming voice sometimes.
No, I'm embarrassed, and yes, this parenting thing. A couple of things that I think John would agree with me. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Our boys are in their 20s, and they're college graduates and things like that. But I do wish two things. And if there are young people out there that would like to have a family, this is what I recommend. Two things. One, train a dog, learn to have a puppy and train the puppy. But I mean the proper kind of training, not it needs to be the right approach where you name what they do so that it's not just no, stop. It's got to each action has to be named, right? So that they learn the intonation of your voice. That's the type of training of a dog that I support and I've had success with. And then secondly, whether you think you can teach or not, you ought to go and teach. You ought to somewhere, somehow find yourself in a room with little people, and you should experience what it's like to navigate, build your patience, build your ability to communicate. Of course, we didn't do any of these things. We had kids first, then we had the dog, and then we became teachers. We did it all backwards. And so we find ourselves apologizing to our two sons probably about once a week, going, I know that now, but I didn't know that then.
Well, I like you. I've got my youngest is 32. And the only thing I love the advice you gave. The only advice that I would even add to that is when it comes to setting consequences, set realistic consequences. Don't say, I'm going to kill you, because realistically you're not going to kill them. Maybe you're going to get time out, but you got to follow through with that, whatever consequence you set.
Right.
I think that is just
the other thing that I don't support, and I do see it still today, because we teach a lot of students, John and I collectively, because we teach from 6th grade to 12th grade, so in the performing arts, and he does film appreciation and all that sort of thing. I do dance, and we have a music department as well. But sometimes parents are hoping that if they threaten their young person with, if you don't get good grades on the midterms, and you can't go to whatever field trip or whatever concert or whatever Broadway show, or you can't do the musical, or you can't do the play. I'm not sure that I agree with that approach, because first of all, they're two completely different things. And a student could be having a very difficult time in math or science or whatever it might be, but they may thrive in the arts or music or drama or film. So to deprive one for excellence in the other, I just think you end up with a more depressed child.
I agree. I mean, that's kind of like saying you're in trouble, you can't go to work. Well, that's, you're teaching them irresponsibility by doing that. You're responsible when you have a job. You're responsible, committed when you have a play or singing or anything. I agree 100%. And I so love, I read somewhere where you did a 10-minute high school students write in 10 minutes, write a script.
Oh, yes. Little 10-minute. A 10-minute playwriting competition. Absolutely. And we've also had, film festivals, 1 minute film festivals. And what you can accomplish, there's an exercise that we do all the time. I always do it with the new students that arrive. So the new 6th graders or the new 9th graders. And then I keep it going every once in a while, because in our society, obviously there's slang that comes in, and we start to get a habit. And one of the habits that all of us fall into at the moment is, well, like I wanted to do it, but like I was tired and like I didn't really feel like doing it. So like, well, you know what I mean? Like we immediately sit down and say, okay, so for 30 seconds, and you're going to get timed. Once you start speaking, the buzzer's going to hit every time you use the word like. So you can't use the word like at all, even though it's a perfectly nice word and it's good to describe things. You're not allowed to use it. You have to find another way. That's always quite amazing. And I still have students today that come to my office and start to talk to me about things they're excited about. And I look at them and they go, all right, I'll start again. Because there are so many likes in the first two sentences, I didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
They never got to the subject that they were trying to get to. And I said, if you walk into a room with a stranger who doesn't know you, they're not going to stop you from talking and ask you to start again. They're just going to think you're uneducated.
Yes. And I thank God for Miss Mack, who was my speech and drama teacher in high school, because I had to really work on saying
That's another one.
And you know, she was like, oh no, she's kind of like you. If I hear you're starting all over again until
Correct.
you can go without saying
Correct. Everyone can do it. Everyone can time themselves on their phone and tell a story, a made-up story. Once upon a time, I was sitting on a stone and a tree fell on top of me, or whatever it is. I mean, the dragons, doesn't matter. And see if you can go for 30 seconds or a minute or longer, and then play it back and see if you used any of these. There's likes, well, you know, those are the top ones. Right. And we also, we feather that in with the most prolific language of the world, which is body language.
Body language.
Body language. Everybody understands body language, no matter where you're from. And of course, the biggest, most powerful piece of body language is the roll of the eyes. Yeah.
Face, yes.
Like, I couldn't care less. Whatever.
And if people would think about it, I mean, pets, if you have a pet or even any animal, they read your facial expressions before they even hear what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
So,
and what a lot of students don't realize is that when we, the adult in the room standing in front of them, we see everything. We catch it all. We just can't comment on it every second of the day of the room, because then it would all be about the commenting on the students. So you have to take it all in, continue to give the information that you need to get across, right, that they need to know.
Yes.
The place we don't see that in rehearsals for our shows. We never see that, because of course that's a place where people want to come. Right. And it's voluntary, right? Whereas the classes that we have to teach, not everybody's into dance, not everybody's into hip hop, not everybody's into music, not everybody's into theater and film, but they have to take it because of our program. It's part of the entire foundation of the education that we give.
Well, you need me as a student, because I would rock that foundation. You would say, oh no, please stop dancing. Please stop singing.
Yeah.
I will pass you. Just don't do it again.
Yeah.
Now, in 1987, you joined the cast of One Life to Live, and I had the same question that a fan had, but I will read the fan question for you. Terrell Eugene Bellinger asked, he said, hi, I have a special question for Fiona Hutchison. What was your One Life to Live audition story like?
Oh, well, okay. At the time, Paul Rausch was the exec producer, and he was one of those type of producers that you would have seen in a film. This is a big man, big as in strong in stature and personality, and dressed well and smoked a cigar. And really, you could imagine there was a casting couch in his office, but there wasn't. But, you want to go back to the 1940s in Hollywood, and that was Paul Rausch. And he produced a very good show, and he was very talented at what he did. But the day that I arrived at One Life to Live in New York City, I went into his office to read the scene. He was behind the desk, and I was reading with a reader so that he could see us, right? And the reader has his back to Paul sitting in the desk, and I'm doing my histrionics and my Gabrielle. She was a very volatile character from day one. And so I had to get a bit pumped up for it, because at the end of the scene, I have to slap, I think it was Max, the character of Max, not knowing who Max was going to be at the time, but it was. And in the middle of the scene, I couldn't help but notice Paul Rausch gets on the phone, has a little chat with someone, lights up a cigar, and leans back, doesn't look at me, he's not watching me at all, puts his feet up on the desk like this. I was so insulted and so annoyed. I thought, I've flown over from England, and this I don't even know what kind of man this man is, but the rudeness was beyond anything I could sort of cope with. Now, it fueled the scene, but it fueled it so much that when I hauled off to slap the lovely young man who was doing the reading, I didn't slap him. I hauled off and whacked him, and he fell on top of the desk. And then I turned around, left Paul's office, slammed the door behind me, and I couldn't get back in. It was locked. Outside with all the assistants and the secretaries and the runners and, all the production team. I thought, well, that's that, I said, this guy, is he like this all the time? And they didn't really have anything to say, because of course they wouldn't. Their job would lose their job if they'd said anything. And so he had to come and open the door and let me back in. Anyway, rest is history.
They were probably thinking, oh my God, nobody's ever acted that way towards him.
I don't know. Maybe they have. I don't know. Maybe that's what he was looking for. Clearly, he got a reaction. And I guess for that character, that's what he was looking for. He's a very clever man. I don't think he did anything in his life without knowing what he was doing. I don't think he was a haphazard kind of a person.
I mean,
so that was the beginning of our relationship, and it continued to be volatile for the next few years. Absolutely.
Now, One Night to Live gave us several dream couples like Max and Gabrielle, Tina and Cord, Blair and Todd. But I have to say, my favorite was Gabrielle and Bo. Loved you two together. Yeah. Loved you two together. You and Robert did so. I mean, you mesh with anybody you act with. Anybody, but there was just something special with you and Robert. I think
Robert Woods, first of all, what an icon on the show, first of all. So lovely guy, super sweet, very good friends with he and his wife. So we socialized outside after working together, all of us, four of us, and such a gracious person to work with, very giving, very gracious. And we were very opposite too, because the character was so, fringy and volatile. And he was, of course, stable and strong and dependable and reliable and predictable. And so I think the contrast is why it worked.
But that's what Gabrielle needed.
Yes.
She needed somebody grounded. I mean, when you and Cord were together, that was just like, oh my goodness, he's a wild card, she's a wild card, you're putting them together?
No, yeah.
Do you have a favorite couple that you had in the show?
That I was involved in? Because I was going to say Tina and Cord, I personally loved as well.
Oh, I did
too. Of course, I have a softness in my heart for the pairing of Max and Gabrielle. But that was such a rocky ride, because Jim DePaiva had to leave the show at one point. We had to recast the character of Max. And that was so difficult. The process of doing that was so difficult. So that was.
And they kind of made it, the one that they hired, the gentleman they hired was kind of his Max was a different Max than Jim's.
So different. I mean, it was lovely and fascinating, but different.
Jim was fly by his pants, and
and also he had a cowboy flair to him, right? Because he was connected to the Buchanans, and I think that was, he was out there on the prairie. You could imagine him riding a horse and boots and things like that. In some respect, yeah, I know.
Well, I would be remiss if
Nicholas
I didn't.
Walker was very different. He was refined. He was. Could speak French fluently. So it's very different end of the spectrum.
Brought out a different side of Max that we didn't see before. I mean, and which was great. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the two of my favorite frenemies, Gabrielle and Tina.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working with Miss Andrea Evans?
I learned a great deal from working with Andrea, because she was, again, a veteran. She had done soaps for way longer than I had, and she was absolutely iconic in the show. And when I first got on set and saw that these scenes were starting to be written for both of us, I came from a sort of film and theater background where you would rehearse and rehearse. In soaps, you don't have very much time. You get your, you do your blocking at 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and then by 1 o'clock, you need to be up on set, dressed and ready to go. And we didn't have teleprompters, and even if we did, I couldn't read them anyway. So I'd be like, I got to see, what am I reading here? So I would knock on Andrea's dressing room door, and I would say, Andrea, I'd love to run lines with you. And she'd go, yeah, we will. And it would end up being one time we'd run them while we're both sitting in the makeup chair, and I can't speak because they're just doing my lips. And I'm thinking, oh, this isn't going to work. I see now. She didn't need to run lines. She had a photographic memory, and all she had to do was look at the page, and it was there. I thought, all right, I got to learn how to do this, because if I'm going to work with her in a storyline, I can't be bugging her every day. Run lines with me, please, because that becomes very annoying. Right. So I quickly got with the program, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Let's play.
Well, honestly, I love every actress that played Tina. I do, but Andrea Evans will forever be my Tina.
The best. I agree with you 100%.
Nobody had that high pitched voice like she did, like her Tina did.
Correct. Her Tina did. And we had great fun with I don't know if you remember the storyline or the scene where we had a food fight. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Mashed potatoes and everything was flying.
Yes.
Well, just to let you know, that continued when we left the set. They'd called cut. We went into the lobby of One Life to Live, and people were out, and we were still throwing things at each other.
Oh my God.
Because it became so fun, and because we were so revved up to be so annoyed with each other that it would carry over, but not in a terribly aggressive way. It's just we just kept going.
Well, I mean, Gabrielle and Tina were such a good combination as far as how you reacted to each other. It kind of put me in the mind of Joan Collins and Linda Evans on Dynasty.
Yes.
It really did, and I loved that. But when the cards were down, y'all were always there for each other. You always had each other's back, generally.
Yes.
The characters did.
Yes. Yeah, and we did too in real life. Our dearest and closest friend, who is still our dearest and closest friend, is Renata Long, who was the head of the makeup department. And Renata lives in New York, and so do I. So I get to see Renata. And then when Andrea flies from Los Angeles, she also sees Renata. So, that's a friendship we've both kept, so yeah, she's true blue. And that comes through, that's what was coming through in her character.
I was okay with every character that Gabrielle hooked up with, except for Michael Grandi.
Oh, I know. And although he was a lovely person, by the way.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, but that was a funky storyline. I think that involved a Turner, didn't it? That
That's
was just,
my next thing.
Found that one to be an interesting storyline. Now, maybe today, so much has happened now. And of course, what we watch is everything, and it comes from anywhere, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And we do, here we are, right? We go on our phones, and it's all handheld. And, but back in the day, I thought, what is this storyline?
I know. I think because I was younger, I really liked the storyline, but that was what I was fixing to bring up, was the questionable storyline.
I just had, I had to believe in it, obviously, because I was in it.
Right.
But I just, I catapulted myself into a sort of Star Wars reality, because it was in an altered universe.
Well, doing the research on that today, actually, I ran across a YouTube video about Eterna, and they had different comments from different celebrities that were on that were involved, and most of them thought it was pretty silly. A couple of them liked it, like the gentleman who played Michael. He liked the storyline, of course, because it was his storyline, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but,
it's one of those things where storylines are funny. The ones you love are not always the fan favorites. You love them because it's hit a chord in you, right? There are some storylines that you're in, and you see that there's catching a lot of attention, and people are really loving it, or that one though, I think the audience wasn't sure and the actors weren't sure. I think.
Well, seeing a storyline, the thing is, that was more believable. There were two storylines in soap history of the soaps that I'm aware of that I watched that really threw me. And one of them was General Hospital when the space alien thing.
Oh.
And the second one was you weren't involved in, but on Guiding Light, Reva's clone story. And I'm sure I have writers who hate me for saying that. That was just terrible. I'm sorry.
Challenging, isn't it? Because cable TV was not prevalent.
No.
O.J. Simpson started the reality trend, right? When we were all glued to any television we could find in any cafe or bar that day, so that we could go, have they caught up with him yet? Is he still on the run? And there was the helicopter following. Do you know what I mean? And I remember thinking, I was in Los Angeles when that was happening. And I was also working with the union, sitting in the collective bargaining seat as actors will take turns to sort of be involved in their own union matters. And I thought, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of reality TV. And sure enough, real-time stories and following a family. I mean, good heavens, look at The Circle right now. Do you know what I mean? Where now we're doing catfishing, where you don't know what the person is who's texting you because you can't see them. And then dating apps, people don't tell the truth on those.
I think they need to draw a line somewhere. I mean, catfishing, I think, is kind of cruel if it's not scripted. I don't know if it's scripted. I'm not saying it is. But
I don't know either. I don't know enough about it.
But if it's not, it's very cruel. It's very cruel.
Be, right? It can be. But then again, but the thing is, all these online platforms, Instagram, Snapchat, in the world of young people in middle school and high school, it's incredibly cruel. It's incredibly cruel, the damage that's happening to certain students. I mean, in our environment at York Prep, we don't stand for it. I mean, you can get expelled like that, but you first got to find it. Right? You've got to find it as administrators and teachers. So you do rely on the students being able to take a screenshot, right? And then to be brave enough to bring it forward, because they're going to get a sort of a kickback on things like that. And I know.
See, I'm old school. Anybody can sit behind a computer and say what they want.
Right.
To me, if you want to critique or you want to say something to me, please come talk to me face to face. Don't do it through the internet, because odds are you're not going to come talk to me face to face and tell me what you're saying on this computer. Not that I'm a violent person, because I'm not.
Oh, no, I agree with you. And oftentimes, I think it happens to all of us. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. Having, you hear something and you go, oh, well, and then you have an opinion about it, right? But then when you see the person that it might be connected to, and you listen and you're looking and you're thinking, oh, maybe what I heard wasn't the whole story, right? And you're going, but there's this another side to this person, which is very friendly and very nice. So, wow, I guess they had a bad situation with my friend that I heard about. So you're right. It changes everything when you are in person.
And I forgot what I was going to say about it, but as far as cyberbullying, that's just cruel. I know.
I don't know what I would do if I had a young child that was going to, go to school, middle school, high school. I don't know what I would do now that there are cell phones and Snapchat and social media and likes and not likes and followers and Instagrams and all this stuff. I mean, I know I have Chicky Mama and I doing our thing on Instagram, but I don't know. That's something that sort of, I want to tell a story. I'm looking to tell a story because I've been a performer for so long that now that I'm teaching and creating for others, I still have a desire to create myself.
Right.
So I think she's my outlet. She's my creation. I follow her every day. I get intrigued by her. And so wanting to share that as a sort of a little peekaboo who is this chicken? I don't know.
Right. But I mean, but you're also an adult and it doesn't have any bearings on you how many likes you get. Whereas
No, if nobody likes it, they don't
teenagers,
have to.
they're like, you know, a teenager's like, oh my God, if I don't get 1,000 likes, I'm gonna have to delete this because my life's over. And
Correct.
really? I
Correct.
just don't agree with that. That's putting too undue pressure on them that they don't need. I got one more question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I've got one more question about One Life to Live, and that was just between Gabrielle and Nikki. Just
Okay.
I saw a lot of things. You know, Gabrielle seemed to bring Nikki out. I know once she drugged Vicky to be Nikki, but I mean, how was that working? First off, Erica Slezak, hats off to her doing that. That she, oh my God, I loved her storyline when she did the split personalities. But you throw Gabrielle in the mix, and oh my goodness.
Yes, you know so much more once you have passed a certain time in your life. Correct, right? We do different jobs. And we look back. Had I known back then what I know now, I would have had so much more fun. I was so busy trying to get it right, whatever right is, that I wish I could have just really enjoyed it more. I was very worried and very self-conscious about giving Erica Slezak everything that she deserved and needed as just a scene partner, as one who was very much just a newbie. And I wanted to make sure that I was not the reason that the scene stopped.
Right.
I was not the reason, that she couldn't get this done and move on to the next. Right. So I would love to sit and do a scene with her now. Do you know what I mean? Just because I would be so hung up, I would probably I'd probably ride the roller coaster with her.
And if my memory serves me correctly, I believe One Life to Live is where you met your husband because you just couldn't wait for me,
Oh my God, Tim, you're right. And I make these mistakes in life and we have to live with them. I don't know. I know it's tough. We might have to go into therapy over this.
Well, your next thing was a little show called The Guiding Light.
Oh, yeah.
Where you played the role of Jenna Bradshaw Cooper, where undoubtedly you quickly became one of the main characters on that show, which I loved. Because you went from one of my favorite shows to another one of my favorite shows. So I was just in heaven.
Thanks. Again, if I know now what, if I could put what I know now back then. Okay, lots of mistakes, but all right. So I met with Jill Phelps, the exec producer, and she said, okay, there's 2 roles that I'm thinking of, or that the writers are writing and that are coming available. There's a contract role for 2 years, and you'll have to do all the screen tests and auditions and all that kind of good stuff. And then there's this really short 3-month gig that is a jewel thief. And, I could probably, if you're interested, we probably could make it happen because it's not a whole network involvement here. And she said, you got any questions? I said, okay, which one of them does not cry? Because I had years of Gabrielle where every single day I was in an emotional upheaval.
And I'm going to stop you there for one question, because I had a fan, when I posted about this coming up, they asked me to ask you, can you cry on cue? Or did you have to, because they were like...
Yes, I can cry on cue, particularly when I'm in the life of a character that is damaged. I could go to the sad place, but I'm not gonna, yes, I could probably sit here and get all teary-eyed, but I would feel very sad doing it. I'm not able to just cry and not feel anything. I do go there. So it does emotionally come up, whatever it is I need to tap into. And Gabrielle was raw. Gabrielle was raw. So whatever part of Fiona's personality that is raw, and we all had those sides, I was able to live with Gabrielle in that realm. It didn't mean it was the healthiest character for me to play, because there's a lot of crying, a lot of emotional rawness.
Right.
So when I did Jenna, the international jewel thief, I had a blast. She never cried, at least not in the first 3 months that I was busy climbing through windows and stealing jewels. It was great. It was fun. I had a lot of fun. It was not a common thing for Jenna to be crying.
I think the only time Jenna cried was when she did something to Buzz.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that was the only time I ever saw her cry. You've got a couple of questions here. What was your favorite memory of working with the late Nathaniel Marston, who played your on-screen son Al?
Oh my God. Well, there's pain. There's pain right there. What a sweetheart. I loved working with him. Have to be honest, as an actress, working with an actor behind the scenes, that was challenging for Robert Woods and I, because we often would have to throw him in the shower and get him ready to film. Nathaniel had a very tumultuous life, a very painful journey, and a lot of struggle. And when you join shows, you're joining a family, and some people you get along with and some people you don't get along with, and some people have journeys with addiction and some people don't, and some people are on time and some people aren't, and some people like to go out and stay out late till the wee hours of the morning, even though they've got to get up and start shooting the film. People have personal lives. And Nathaniel, that's a painful one, because we loved him as he was our son. He was my son on the show, but very special. But I don't know, these things happen to people and you just wish they wouldn't happen. So that was tough.
Well, on a lighter note, when you were Guiding Light, as well as Would Like to Live, but Guiding Light, you got to top tier actors like Michael Zaslow, William Rourke, Ron Raines, Marge Doucet.
Oh my God, the list.
What was that like?
Okay,
those four were phenomenal. And you and Henry, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know his words are words that we use? John and I just told a student the other day, because we're the next show we're producing is Little Shop of Horrors, and we had a student who was very, very disappointed that they didn't get the lead, and felt that it was a personal affront and that they were insulted, and that the part that we had cast them in just was far too demeaning. And we shared with that student, when working with William Warwick, who had worked with Sir John Gielgud and all the greats, he said to me, because at the time when I was working with him, I also had a contract negotiation that happens, every couple of years. And I was saying to him, well, they've offered me to stay, but I don't know if I should stay on soaps or should I go try my hand somewhere else. And he said to me, you need to understand that as a performer, we will hear no more than we will hear yes. And my advice to you is to always accept the yeses. And it was the best advice I ever got. He said, because it's a bit like doing improvs. You want to say yes, and if you say no to somebody giving you a piece of a story to grow with, then you go nowhere, right? It dies. So if you turn down roles because you feel, I don't know, they're not big enough, you're in it for the wrong reason, kid.
Right. Well, I could say there's not very few. There were a few actors that when they passed in reality that it really affected me, and he was one of them.
Yes.
Because
Same here.
he was just, but you were one of America's most favorite couples ever in soap opera history, with Mr. Buzz, which is Justin Deas. That had to be so much fun.
Love that man. Love that man. As I told you when we have spoken personally before, when I would get ready to work with Justin, of course, there was hair and makeup, costumes, and a pair of ice skates, because I never knew which direction he was going to go. We had a script. We had a storyline. He ran lines with me. He was very gracious. He was always like, let's run the lines. Let's run the lines. And he'd always give me all the lines I needed. And I'd give him all the lines. And we feel pretty good going out there. And then they go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And already he was swinging from the bedpost, or he was coming at me from the window frame. He was just nowhere that I thought he was going to be. And he was doing things in the scene. He used to like to pull my shirt or whatever it was. If I'm wearing a skirt or a pair of pants and I'm tucked in, because, you know, they don't like you to be too wrinkled, he would immediately pull it up. And it would either be seen or not seen on camera, but then I would know, oh God, I got to fix my, you know what, I'm trying to do the scene. And so I went to wardrobe and I said, listen, how am I going to stop Justin from doing this? And they said, oh, we got you covered. You're going to wear one of those bodysuits, you know, that looks like a shirt. You got your collar up here, but it tucks in underneath and snaps. Okay, I used it once and I never used it again. Because not only did he go whoop, and I went whoop, like, okay, that's not going to work.
Oh my! Well, he was on the show a while back, and he couldn't stop talking about it.
Oh well, yeah. Great. You know, things. It's too bad you didn't have that story before you talked to him. But when you talk to him again, tell him Fiona told us about that bodysuit scene.
Well, hopefully in the near future, we're going to have a reunion with you and we can discuss that bodysuit.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
One more question about Guiding Light. Do you know if there was a reason they decided to kill Jenna off? Because she was such a favorite character.
I don't know why. You know, well, I do, because what happens with any show and any storyline, you have to have the inciting incident in order to propel your other main characters forward. And Justin won the Emmy for that storyline. So that was exactly why. You know, you need to give and he was a icon. You know, you've got your icon characters, right? And it could be one female and the rest are male on the shows, usually, you know, like an Erica Slezak, Susan Lucci, that kind of thing. Kim Zimmer. And they're secondary females, but you can have more than one iconic male character that will need to stay, you know, need to carry on the storyline. And so for Jenna to tragically die, that propelled Buzz into this place where the sympathy would come out for him. I mean, I wish they hadn't felt the need to do it because I was having a lot of fun. But at the time when it happened, our youngest son, Trevor, was playing Rocky. So Jenna and Buzz's little boy.
Yes.
And the funniest thing was, when I finished my last day, I was back the next day in the green room with Trevor, getting him dressed so that he could go on set. And we used to call him 288 because that's what he made every day he was filming. $288. We go, come on, 288, you're up.
That's hilarious.
And he would play a lot of the different characters, you know, because he was such an easygoing baby on set that they would call for him and they'd just, you know, shoot the back of him and put a bonnet on or something to change him for different babies.
Make him a little girl.
He did, yeah. He played all the different characters.
Well, of course, you know, you and I have a friend in common, Mr. Gregory J. Martin.
Yeah. You know, I'm so fond of him. He's a lovely director. I love working with him.
He is. You were in a little show called The Bay by him. And when I had Mr. Martin on the show a couple of weeks ago, I did let him know that I felt that there could be more with that character coming back, you know, maybe really pissed and coming back for revenge because her daughter did get murdered.
I know.
He didn't say, but he did let me know that you are going to be in this little spin-off show from the Bay called Y&R. And I was shocked. It's called YA, like young. YA. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah.
I was so shocked. You're playing a Nana.
Yes.
Nana.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. How's it working with the young cast?
She's a little saucy and salty.
Well, it's not been released yet, so we can't talk too much about it. I don't want to make Gregory and Wendy mad at me.
Yeah, I think there's a handle on Instagram for what are they called? They're called glam grams, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm fast approaching all the numbers that you need to be a glam gram, whatever. And so that was the character. She falls into that category.
Well, I know I've always scratched the surface of your IT career. There's so much more that I've not brought up, but there's so much more I want to go on to.
Oh, you're very kind, Tim. Thank you for having me, honestly.
As you spoke earlier, you and John also teach and founded the Cupcake Theater Company in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still helping out there?
We don't have the theater running anymore because now we're full-time at York Prep and we're running the performing arts department there. And 360 students or 355, and so we're pretty full on there. But John still does a lot of work. He just finished shooting something recently, and I might do a film in the summer. So we try. The wonderful thing about being a teacher is that you've got these chunks of time that you're not working. It's really quite a blessing to have 3 months in a row where you can go into another part of your life. It's quite a gift. Teaching it's a beautiful, beautiful gift to be able to be part of the teaching community. Obviously, you've got to have a good group around you. You have to have good administration that you're working for, and we do. I really can't speak highly enough about it. And again, if you're a young person, I also recommend you try your hand at it for lots of different reasons, if nothing else, to learn patience with other humans.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Now we're going to move on to my favorite topic.
My
most favorite topic. Fiona has a phenomenal Instagram. If you don't follow it, the link is in the description of this page. And it's primarily about her pet, Chicky Mama.
Chicky Mama. Look at
Chicky
her.
Mama.
There she is.
I love this chicken. I've never met this chicken. Smartest chicken I've ever seen. And that's coming from someone who grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Did you do any training with her, or did it just...
Chicky Mama is unique because we've had lots of chickens. We've had 20 chickens at a time, 18 at a time. And then it dwindled down, as chickens do if you're free range, because you are allowing them for the hawks and the foxes and raccoons. Mm-hmm. Even though we do put them away, and we did put them away, if you allow them to be out and about, you're taking a risk. Chicky Mama was the last surviving chicken out of the sort of groups that we had. So she's been around for quite a few years. And somehow she managed to elude all of these massacres, if I could call them that, because sometimes chickens just die and there's no reason. And then it's because they get killed by something else. And I think that I started to notice her special personality because she found a way of hanging around us. And I'm outside a lot gardening, and the cats are outside, and she didn't have any problem with that. She would come and I would be digging in the dirt and weeding. She'd be right there, right beside me, scratching and digging. And I just started talking to her, and she started to sort of respond with her little chirps and sounds. And I took a video of her. I don't know what moved me to do that. And then I watched the video and I thought, well, that's rather sweet. That's rather simple and sweet. And it was all through the pandemic, where here I was. This is where I would teach from, this room, because I can put the heat on, and I would do all my stretch and tone and yoga classes right here on this rug. So I'm so used to this room. It's private, away from everything else, so I'm not disturbing anyone. And then I would go out and hang out with Chicky Mama because, I wasn't going anywhere and meeting other people. So she was a product of that, I think.
I so love that chicken. I get excited when I come on Instagram and I see a new post about Chicky Mama.
Can I ask you and everyone else who's out there, It's my Instagram, Fiona_Hutchison, but she is it. You know, she's really all that's on there. Occasionally I might put something else on there. You know, if I do something with Liz Kiefer, or, you know, if my life gets exciting for 5 seconds, I might post something. But otherwise, she's the most exciting part of my life. But do I create a separate page that's called Chicky Mama? Should I start her own Instagram, or do I leave it the way it is?
You sure could. That way you could separate it, Chicky Mama, to your person, to what happens with you and what happens with her. But that would be up to you.
Well, that's if I have anything to post about.
And then you've got
me.
Then you got.
I mean, I don't have anything to post about. There's probably
then you
more
got to keep
Chicky Mama.
Then you got to keep up 2 different accounts. That's the only bad thing about it.
Yeah, and of course, I'm not going to post about, you know, teaching students, because that's you know, that's
privacy.
That's a private life. Teaching is a very private life. Just what happens between the students in the institution. Yeah, I've thought about all of this. I really have. I put some, but so at the moment, she's on my Instagram because
I am so big on privacy. I mean,
oh yeah,
yes, you all. I'm joking with Fiona about John. We're joking. John's a great guy. He's a great guy, and I hope to have him on the show. I'm happy that they're happy, but that's just something that we're doing. But
I'm
yeah,
very flattered. You know, when jokes are made about you, I was always taught, and I don't know if that's so true today with all the online bullying, but my parents always told me, you know, that's a form of flattery when somebody makes a joke about you. But I don't know that translates to today's Instagram stuff. And
well, with the privacy, I'm not a got you person. I don't ask about your relationship, because to me, that's private. I don't like when the paparazzi or journalists start writing about so-and-so fought each other or they're separate. That's private. That is so private, and I don't agree with that. Your kids the same way. I might ask if you have kids, but I would never put their names or anything out there, because like you said, privacy is so important, and it's so hard to get in these day and time with technology.
Well, you know, that crossed my mind when I first took these videos of Chicky Mama, and I was also again creating pathways. So if you scroll back through my Instagram back into the 2020, when we were in lockdown, I built a whole front garden, and I was making pathways, and that's really what I started to do, because I needed an outlet, because I wasn't teaching in person and I wasn't working on a project, and we weren't seeing anyone except each other all the time. So I needed to go outside and do something. And I think that's how the Instagram started for me. It would have been flowers and pathways and how do you do them. And then Chicky Mama just started being part of my daily routine. She was with me. She hung out with me. And one of them that I posted got such a reaction. That's probably why I did another one, to be honest with you. I thought, oh, somebody wants to see her again. Okay.
Well, I love that you treat her like a member of the family. I do my dogs as well. Chicky Mama, she loves to have tea time with you. She loves her soggy bread.
She does.
She'll come in the house, and the thing that amazes me is the relationship with her and Nugget, your cat.
Yes.
They just get along. They don't fight or anything. Nugget just kind of like, oh, hey, see ya.
Yes, well, this morning I did take Saturday mornings I do a lot of videos, because you know I'm able to spend time with her, and she'll let me know if it's a morning she wants to come in the kitchen or she's happy staying outside. But today she wanted to come in, and she made a beeline for the back door, and she wanted to come in. And Nugget was sunning herself in the front door. So she walks from the kitchen through the hallway there to the front door, but Nugget was in the sun, and they had a little interaction.
Yeah, I saw that. And then Chicky Mama decided she was just going to go outside.
Yes, and then she now, you know, because it's cold outside, she will sort of cuddle up next to the door on the outside. And I never know whether she's cold or is she fine. You know, I always battle with that. I walk by and I check on her. She seems happy. She's taking a nap because the sun comes in there, and I think she feels the heat from the house.
Well, I know how much Chicky Mama loves your mug. I'm going to get a mug personally for her to send to you.
I love that. You know, I have this this mug that I use, it's not Chicky Mama. It just happens to be a mug with chickens on it that John gave me as a birthday gift, but I do love it.
No, Chicky Mama likes the mug that your son gave to you.
Oh,
Because
yes.
I saw you give in finally and said, "Here, you can drink it out of my mug."
Yes. That was my Christmas mug. I love mugs and teacups. I love those sort of things. And I go through phases where I have to have, I have to have a new mug or I have to have a new teacup. And I go to thrift. I only buy through thrift stores as I like going and finding something that's unique.
Yes.
I think it's a lot of fun. So my sons do the same thing. They'll go and look for something that they can find in a thrift store, and then I love it. So yes, Chicky Mama loves that mug. I think it's because of the sort of speckly look on the mug. It just catches her attention and she wants it.
Well, our nonprofit has a online shop, and I am going to upload some pictures. I've got one already started. You're going to be able to get a t-shirt with Chicky Mama on it from that website. And I will put the link up and share it with Fiona when I get that set up. I'm going to do a couple of your comments before we go. David Bursky said, "Tim, I enjoy chicken videos, Fiona's chicken videos." How did you feel when One Life to Live, Guiding Light, and other New York-based shows canceled before streaming started to take off?
Oh, very sad. And I was also part of a group along with some of the network people who are trying very, very hard to figure out how to transition it from network into online or, believe you me, we tried hard. I mean, it wasn't up to me, but a group of actors and we really were trying desperately to sort of find a way. And I know that they still can find a way. I think we'll see a time where the networks go, you know what, we might want to launch that again. It won't be the same, it'll be different, but it has the legacy.
Mm-hmm. And they can bring legacies into it, like yourself or Susan Lucci.
Or they can have a brand new slate, but those could all be family members from the ones before.
And I've said it so many times on my show, if Guiding Light, I think if they'd held out for just one more year, I feel like they could have transitioned to online.
Yeah. I also have a theory about all of this. The reason why you haven't seen it yet is because we have to exhaust this reality non-scripted journey that we're on.
Yes.
And like all of us, we go through phases. And I think what is old always becomes new again, just as in fashion. So I can see a day where Gabrielle comes hovering on. Well, let me tell you about Max and my love affair.
Well, that's the thing. They killed off both those characters. Even though it's a soap opera, they can bring you back. I mean, come on.
Of course, Reva back haunting from the rafters. You could see us.
And you did. On both shows, you did come back. You had to come back and help Bo when he got shot, and you came back to help Buzz.
There's something about me that producers like to have me ghostly. I'm not sure what that is, but I've played a ghost more than a few times.
Pop Live 1999 said the character Jenna Bradshaw reignited my interest in the Guiding Light as a young teen. I really loved that character. The Jewel Thief with a Heart of Gold.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
David said he didn't like it when they killed off Gabrielle either.
Thanks.
Someone else said they were shocked when they killed Jenna off. Your stories are fascinating. We don't know at this point when YA will be released. I know that's what you're asking about. Gregory said he would let me know, and just follow me if you find me at any social media or Fiona, and we will post it when we find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen. Loved the experience of creating the character, loved working with Jeffrey. 1,000 times would do it in a drop of a hat again. Wonderful people. He works with very, very good people, very talented people. So
I'm not sure
it's a journey for these things.
I'm not sure what David means, but he says, I love it. If you can tell me I love it. I'm not sure if he wants you to, there you go. I think that's what they wanted, was you to say it.
I've got a question for you.
Absolutely.
One of my students asked me to repeat this little phrase. Oot de doot. What is that?
I don't know. Somebody out
I
there
don't know what
knows
that means.
let
I
us
don't know if
know.
I'm saying something that's insulting, but they laugh a lot every
Oot-to-doot.
time I say it. Oot-to-doot. I don't know what that means.
Oot-to-doot. I will find
Can
out
you
and let
find
you
out,
know.
please?
I've got younger people have to ask all the time
Yeah,
stuff.
because I don't want to, I mean, I enjoy the joy they get from it, and it's not mean spirited. They're not making fun. They really, they seem to just, their faces light up and they seem to enjoy it. And I don't feel as though I'm being laughed at. Maybe I am, but
I
I
think
don't.
it's
I feel
probably
it's a good, healthy laugh at. It's a healthy.
right. I think it's just some kind of young slang, and it's funny to hear an older person say it.
I
don't
think
think
you're
it's-
right. I think you're right. But if any of your viewers or watchers know what that means, I would love to know.
Pop Life said maybe because of the accent, it sounds cute.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that.
David
Could just be
said
as simple as that.
David said you are beautiful now as you were then, inside and out.
Ah, David, bless you. Thank you. That's very kind.
And then Terrell said Chicky Mama's so cute. I'm telling you, and I will have a t-shirt very soon. Very soon.
Well, when we finish with this, the sun is still out. I'll probably go downstairs and I'll do, a little video, because I told her earlier I was going to be talking about her online. Not that she cares, but I'll do one saying that,
Oh, believe me, as soon as I saw it, I have a group chat with our board members. I'm like, oh my God, look, she just told Chicky Mama we're going to talk about her, and I sent the link to
Yeah, I'm going to go downstairs and say, so you were the center of attention as always.
Okay, I've got another question for you from me. I guess, do you believe in polygamy?
Wow.
I guess not. I guess I'll just have to keep our marriage in my own mind then.
I can answer you this way, Tim. I am a one-man girl, but I have to tell you, having lived as many years as I have, if I were to come back and reincarnate myself, or if I could be aware that I'm reincarnated, I would love to be able to live this life with some of the freedom that I see this generation doing. They are not hung up on, well, you got to do this and you should do this and you're going to do this. You're going to get married, have the kid, buy a house, have a car. They're living out of vans. By the way, I could live out of a van. I am a van life fan. I follow Christian Schaefer. I follow all these fabulous people that are doing cool things. And I know that the beautiful pictures of the sunset are only a second of the day they spend in the Walmart parking lot and doing their laundry. I got it. I'm not delusional. But what I love is not knowing what the next day is going to bring.
Right.
And having a sort of excitement that you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what kind of relationships you might have. Of course, you'd have to be a single person to follow through on those relationships, right? I mean, or you and your partner would have to be so open. I'm not sure that I'm a great person for that open marriage thing or open relationship things, because I do believe, because of my acting experiences, when one human touches the hand of another human, you feel something. You either feel something good, something bad, something warm, something not so good. But that interaction from human to human is real. And if you've got someone that you're sharing your journey with, you can't pretend that you aren't being affected or affect other people if you get intimate with other people while you're intimate with their partner.
Right.
So feelings can get hurt. People, it's hard to share. But I do see the younger generation navigating through that. And I'm envious of them, the ones that seem to be able to really do it. I don't think I'm made that way.
Well, I know what my next investment's going to be. I'll get a van and get it set up and come to New York.
Come and knock on my door and say, hey, you want to take a ride?
Well, y'all, all fun and games. I want to say again, this was all a joke. I mean, yes, I love Fiona. Yes, she was and is my teen crush and always will be.
Oh my goodness. This is too much for me. I'm getting
I thank you for playing along with me. John's a great guy. I have all respect in the world for him. And like I said, I want to have him on the show. I mean,
he
I
would
just don't,
he would so
and I
enjoy.
believe
you.
And I believe in monogamy, by the way, just so you know. That was just me playing fun. Oh my goodness, Fiona. Oh my gosh, I could have you on all day, but I won't. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll be back because
I have thoroughly enjoyed myself this afternoon. I don't think I've had so many giggles in a period of whatever we've done, an hour or whatever we've done.
an hour and 11 minutes.
Okay, well.
And for the record, this is my longest show ever so far
Really?
to date.
Wow. No, I'm very flattered. I cannot tell you how flattered I am because, well, there's many because. So thank you.
Well, I'm going to pop you out into the waiting room. If you'll be right there, I'll be back there in just a moment.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I'd like to thank Fiona Hutchison for being here today. I'd like to thank the Necrotizing Fasciitis Foundation for sponsoring our show. If you'd like to learn more about necrotizing fasciitis, please visit www.necfasc.org, necfasc.org. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for our upcoming episodes. Remember to be kind to one another.